So you're the one that wrote the book about illegal aliens?
Well, it's not really a book, it's an e-book, a short story for Amazon for the Kindle.
Do you not like illegal aliens?
No, I don't not like illegal aliens.
Do you think we're taking your jobs?
I don't think so, not my job.
Do you want to send me back across the border to Space Mexico?
There's a Space Mexico? I didn't know that.
He said, I have to admit, I didn't actually read your book.
I can't really read Earth languages, but I like the cover.
Oh, thank you. It was a very nice cover, one of my best.
Oh, by the way, I'm not really an illegal alien. I have a green card. It's not issued by your federal government, but it is green.
Okay.
Paperback
Hi, my name is Matthew W. Quinn. I am a aspiring novelist and a published writer of short science fiction, fantasy, and horror. And Thomas was so kind as to interview me for his YouTube channel.
So, what got you into writing?
Well, I was interested in writing and such for as far back as I can remember. I remember when I was very little on my grandmother Quinn's typewriter writing up some story involving a bunch of dinosaurs wearing diving helmets living in the River Thames under London, plotting to retake the world from the mammals. And I remember my grandmother Allred's house like drawing my own little Calvin and Hobbes comic books. This was in the 80s when Calvin and Hobbes was
Still huge.
yeah, when it was still running.
Yeah.
So things just advanced from there.
And I mean, you kept going. I mean, so what did you study in college to?
Well, I originally wanted to do film, but as I say, Los Angeles has the worst restaurant service in the world because all the waiters are all waiting on calls from their agents. So I figured it might be better to have a more professional day job and do writing on the side. So I went to school for journalism, and then kind of got a undergrad in history as well, which I'm now using undergrad in history as a basis to earn a master's in history at Georgia State starting this fall.
And my brother actually goes to Georgia State for the master's program as well. So yeah. So what? I mean, you're aspiring novelist. You write short stories. The Wendigo, Illegal Alien. Where do you come up with your material? Is it just come out of whole cloth, or you read something interesting and it sparks your...
It varies. I mean, okay, Melon Heads, one of my short stories you can buy on the Kindle, I got that from an Urban Legends website I was reading sometime in 2004 when I was at UGA. And the mythology of the Melon Heads is that they're a tribe of hydrocephalics who had escaped from medical experimentation in the 50s and been living out in the woods ever since. And meanwhile, Beast of the Bosporus, that's another one of my stories, I realized that H.P. Lovecraft's fiction all takes place in New England in the 20s. Has anyone ever done one in the medieval Ottoman Empire? That's a fun one because I advertised my Facebook fan page in some Muslim countries. I picked up hundreds of Muslim fans, I'm assuming based on that.
I know that for Cthulhu or Elder Gods stories, Eternal Darkness did something back. I don't know if they did it in the Ottoman Empire, but they did go back to like some age and time in the Middle East. But they didn't. Nobody that I can think of has actually done a story or short story based on the same.
Part of the mythology is there was one of the evil books bound in human skin was originally written by a character called the Mad Arab. I can't even pronounce. I'm not going to try to pronounce his name. But so I mean, the mythos does touch on that, but I don't know if it's ever been really explored in that part of the world.
The Necronomicon, or
yeah, I think it's a Necronomicon, but I'm not totally sure. But I do remember the Mad Arab, and his name was like Abu al-Hazard or something like that. Yeah. I guess I am going to try to pronounce it.
So you write the short stories. Obviously, you aspire to be a novelist. I guess, what would be your advice for people that want to get into writing? They want to break in. I mean, obviously you're still trying to really break in as well. But like, what would be your advice to somebody who wants to do that?
Well, don't dawdle. I mean, I have a tendency to get distracted and lose focus on and go wandering off on more immediate things like the wonderful world of the internet. You really got to be disciplined and not dawdle. One of my tricks is I would commit to sending a chapter to my writing group each week. So that means I had to have something. So, set deadlines. Make really severe deadlines, like if you don't, commit to send somebody to the writing group. So if you don't have something, that's someone else's slot you've taken. So you better finish it. My writing style has been compared to S.M. Sterling, and he gave me some good advice at Dragon Con when talking to me directly. It was the group. He said, short stories make good movies. Books make good miniseries or TV shows. Like Game of Thrones, the first book is the first season. So that kind of inspired me to start turning Coil Gun, which I sold to a Kindle Anthology, into a script. I'm about 85 pages into it now. The minimum is 90. So once I hit the magical 90 mark, I'll send it to a friend of mine who's a TV writer in Los Angeles. Hopefully he'll give me some advice.
That'd be great. I mean, I haven't actually. That's one of the ones I have that I haven't actually finished, but I did start reading it, and I did enjoy it. So I enjoyed what I've read so far. So, it'd be interesting to see if it went from there.
Well, fingers crossed. I mean, so many remakes and sequels and so on and so forth. Something original
Would be nice to see.
Yeah. Even if the bad guys are a little out of date, apparently back in the 80s it was a big deal to have these evil South African guys going around saying kefir all the time. And
yeah, left the Lethal Weapon 2, and there were plenty, but yeah.
Yeah, so I remember my writing group said he was worried this would turn into another cliched apartheid monster book. Luckily it wasn't. But you talked about stories you've read that I've written. Which ones have you read and which ones did you like?
I've read Melon Head, Wendigo, and Illegal Alien. I know I've got some others that I downloaded, but those are the three that I really got a chance to read through.
Yeah, all that's left on my author page is The Beast of the Bosporus and that anthology, which
I bought those two, but I didn't have a chance to read. I did to only start reading Coil Gun, and I haven't read Beast of the I thought Wendigo was really good. It reminded me of one of the first H.P. Lovecraft books I read, the stories that I read. I can't remember what it was called, but it was written from the perspective, different style. It was written from the perspective of somebody who was, in fact, a monster. He never realizes. He goes through, people always scream when they see him, and then he finally sees himself in a mirror, and it drives him mad. Now, if somebody actually knows the name of that, that'd be great. But then I was reading this one where he obviously knows exactly, the Wendigo obviously knows exactly what it is and what it wants to do. But it was just kind of interesting to read it from that perspective,
Yeah, that's one of my most popular ones. It's really short, only got 1,500 words, and yet, it sold a bunch when I first released it, and that's been one of my steadier sellers since.
Yeah, and then I liked Illegal Alien just because I loved it was well written, and it was there was also a bit of a tongue-in-cheek quality to it that I thought was kind of amusing.
So, well, the title is a bad pun.
Yeah, they caught that one. So, and that was the first one because I got it on the Kindle deal, which sadly got him no money from me. But
well, yeah, the thing is, Kindle deal though. If someone buys your stuff for free, one story for free, they might get others. They pay for them.
Which it did.
Which I have been. I moved all of my stories onto Smashwords to sell to Nooks and other formats.
Yeah.
And so far they haven't been selling very well at all, as in not selling. And so in order to do that, I had to take off Amazon Prime, so no more freebies. So my sales have gone down. So I'm pulling Illegal Alien and Melon Heads off Smashwords, and I'll put them back on Amazon Prime. Starts offering them for free periodically to drum up sales for the rest. I'm leaving Beast of the Bosporus and Wendigo on Smashwords because they've actually sold on Smashwords. Not many, but they have.
You can't sell on both, or
you can sell on other platforms besides Amazon if you don't price it lower. But Amazon Prime is for people who are on their own exclusively.
Oh, okay. So it's basically one of the rules of releasing there. So that's good to know for people who want to release books or short stories on.
Yeah, I have a friend who really loves Smashwords, but it really hasn't worked out for me.
Okay, let's talk about self-publishing. All right, somebody who Obviously, at first start getting your work on an agent's desk is not an easy thing to do.
Well, these are short stories. Short stories don't represent agents. Agents don't represent short stories to start with.
Obviously.
Unless they are, I guess maybe they represent a novelist and he has a short story, they might try and place it, but
Or
that's
generally it's an
rare.
anthology of short stories.
Well, Stephen King had an agent placing some of his short stories somewhere, but I'm guessing the agent was already representing him.
Yeah. So as somebody you basically do a lot of self-publishing because where you are. So what would your advice to, like, I mean, how does the process work? As I've never put anything up on Kindle, up on Amazon for Kindle ebooks or anything like that. What do you have to do to get it there?
I downloaded the Mobi Pocket Creator, and then so I converted it into a Mobi file. Then I saw that the upload device Amazon uses will allow you to upload Word documents, so I didn't really need to do that. But you have to convert it somehow, either using the software or using what Amazon can do for you. And then you have to have a cover. I got 3 of the 4 covers for my short stories were free from people I knew, except for one. Adrian Langston from my writing group did the cover of Illegal Alien. I paid for that. And so then you get the cover art, you upload the 2 of them together, and then it'll go up for sale. And you start getting paid, I think, once you hit $10 in royalties.
Okay, so basically every time you hit $10, you can...
Yeah, my first check was for $13, the second check was for $10.
How much does Amazon take off of your...
Amazon will give you 35% royalties straight up, or 70% royalties, but they will bill you for data. So I'm thinking maybe I can put Wendigo on 70% royalties because Wendigo is very short, so it's not like it would...
Not a lot of data.
Yeah, but Beast of the Bosporus is a longer story, so that won't be a good idea. I'll have to look into that and play around in the back end to see if I can squeeze some extra pennies out of it.
What about Smashwords? How does that work? Like, what is their...
They provide a better royalty, like a 69%, but my stuff on Smashwords just has not been selling.
I mean, I guess I have heard of Smashwords. I've seen a few things on there, but I don't know if it's as well known. I mean, obviously it's not as well known as Amazon. Amazon is obviously a household name, and Smashwords is an ebook store for online publishing and such. But I mean, so there's got to be. I guess at that point, if you're going with Smash, well, actually no. Here's a question. Sorry, side question. How do you advertise? I mean, obviously they show up on searches for new sci-fi on ebooks and things like that.
Well, once people start buying, if people buy that and other people and buy other stuff, then it'll show up. And people who bought this book also bought, Illegal Alien. And Amazon, for when you put something on Kindle Prime and offer it for free for a couple days,
They'll blast it for you.
Yeah.
I think I saw actually. Well, that was because I bought one of your books, but it actually showed up on my. You might like this as a recommendation. It shows some of your other some of your other ebooks. So,
yeah. But here's something, y'all, that your readers can learn from me about what not to do. Is advertising on Facebook is really a waste. For advertising for stories, to sell stories, is a waste of money. Like, I've bought ads for stories, and the number of clicks is not very high, and the number of sales is 0. Facebook advertising has got for me. My Facebook fan page, I went from like 80 fans, half of whom were people I knew, to all the way to about 1,900.
Nice.
By buying ads advertising the Facebook page. AdWords didn't work out for me either. I've probably spent 4 to 6 times as much money advertising these things I've actually made. So that's a lesson to you people. Social media advertising short stories on Kindle is not going to make you any money.
Well, that's good to know. So you write a blog called World According to Quinn, which I highly recommend. It's got some amusing posts. It's got some really good posts as well that I've gone through and read.
Thank you.
So, but you seem to have quite a following there. How did you build? I guess the question is as people try and grow things online, it's very much a difficult process to really, especially now. In the beginning, when everything was first starting, like when blogs were new, getting a blog following wasn't as difficult because they were just starting up. But now people are more established. It's very much harder sometimes harder to get your name out there. What did you do to build a...
Well, mine's on Blogspot, which is tied into Google, and I get a lot of hits via Google. And also, I'm a member of an alternate history discussion forum. I've been there for about 10 years, since I was in high school. And so I have my signature of each blog post. So each post I make on the message board is a link to my blog. So I get a lot of blog hits that way. And
Makes you wish I hadn't stopped going to all those forums years ago.
well, the forums can also be a massive distraction, especially when there's a political argument going on. So it's a double-edged sword. Also, I have a lot of blogger friends, and so I have them in my blog roll, and they have me in their blog roll, so then I get hits from their blog. And sometimes weird random blogs start adding me in their list, and I get hits from there.
It's like using Twitter. Like,
Oh, and I have Twitter too. I tweet blog posts.
yeah. And I try and use Twitter to spread, these videos. It's a double-edged sword. Sometimes it can work really well, and sometimes you're just shooting out tweets into the air and nothing's really happening. So,
Now there's perseverance,
yeah, the internet is definitely an exercise in that. So, I know that, I'm not going to ask you to talk about it because I talked to you about this before. You have to leave, but you've obviously have been putting in or setting up chapters. I know to get to an agent about a novel. Obviously you've started. So you've got 3 chapters or so of that written.
Well, I have the whole manuscript written. I sent 3 chapters to an agent and asked for 3 chapters as synopsis. In the next 8 weeks, she'll get back to me whether she wants the whole manuscript. So, fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers definitely. No. Well, that's great to hear, and I'd love to see it when it's available to be, I guess, test read when you've got your pre-published copies. So.
Yeah, I guess that could be something another trip before the mighty video screen there.
Yeah. But otherwise, do you have anything that you want to say, as being a writer, or things that you have done, mistakes not to do, or things that you found particularly useful that we haven't covered?
Join a writing group. In addition to the whole set deadlines for yourself, writing groups can offer you a lot of good ideas and help you point out things that aren't working. You always want to have other sets of eyes on your manuscript. Maybe not too many, because too many cooks spoil the broth, but enough, especially if they're good writers themselves. My writing group, one of them, has James R. Tuck and Alex Hughes. Both are published novelists. And so they have good ideas. And another writing group I'm in has, name is Catherine. Her pen name is Catherine Mankiller. She writes short stories that have been sold to things like Escape Pod. So, yeah, writing groups. Join a writing group.
All right. Well, it was great having you here, and I appreciate you coming out.
Thank you for coming out.
Thanks, Matt. So,
Okay.
all right. And that's that.